Good morning on this Thursday. I'm Brendan Kinney with UpNorthLive News. Appreciate you joining us here live on the UpNorthLive Facebook and YouTube pages. It's time for the August edition of Your Mental Health Connection. We have three brand new faces we're excited to meet this morning. We'll say hi to Stacy and Angie and Scott. And Stacy, we can start with you. If you can introduce yourself and what do you do with Northern Lakes Community Mental Health?
Hi guys, I'm Stacy Zagerny. I'm a wraparound facilitator there. So I work with kids and their families to create a team of support, and we work together to make sure that everybody that the family is working with is on the same page.
All right. Thank you, Stacy. And Angie, good morning to you.
Good morning. My name's Angie Engler. I'm the parent support partner at Community Mental Health. I work with parents who have children with severe emotional disturbance or sometimes with the IDD families.
All right. And Scott, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning. Hi, I'm Scott Machin, and I am one of the IDD children's outpatient therapists, and I am out of our Cadillac office. And for those who don't know, IDD stands for intellectually developmentally disabled. So I do a lot of work with kids and their families.
And we're talking back to school mental health. Everybody ready for back to school? We know that some kids in Northern Michigan are already back in school.
Some are, yes.
And majority are getting ready to go back. So that's our topic for today. But before we get into that, and anybody can take this up, for anybody who hasn't watched yet, either on Facebook or YouTube, one of these segments here, explain what Northern Lakes Community Mental Health is all about, where it's located, how people can reach out to you guys.
Yeah, so we're located in Cadillac, Michigan, on Cobb Street. Our office specifically covers Wexford and Missaukee counties, but our entity covers 6 different counties going all the way up to Traverse City. And we have a crisis line that can be reached 24/7. And we have our just normal office hours, 8 to 5, that people can always stop in and get more information. If they've got a crisis or something like that, they can always reach out. Our crisis number is 1-833-295-0616.
Good information. Thanks, Stacy. Angie or Scott, anything that you want to add to that?
If looking at trying to get into services, you can also contact our access service line, and that number is 1-800-492-5742.
Good deal. Angie, that about cover everything?
Pretty much, but I was going to add too, if you call the crisis line for a kiddo, then you would want to ask for a fast call, and that would help with kiddos.
Gotcha. Appreciate that. We know that we have new viewers from time to time here watching us on social media, so thank you for that. All right, we'll get right into it. Again, talking back to school. What are some ways that caregivers may be able to set their children up for success as they prepare to return to school? Who wants to start with that?
I'll start with that. We talk a lot about structure and routine with our families. We know that can help with better social emotional outcomes. And that we know that it can provide a sense of safety and security for kiddos. You kind of want to factor in age, maturity level, and any trauma history when you're setting up structure and routine with your kiddos. Of course, if you've already started school, you've already started with your sleep hygiene, getting ready for bed on time. And that can look like a few different things. A few anchor points, snack at 4, we're going to have dinner at 6, homework fits in somewhere in there, and bedtime's at this time. But it could be a little bit more structured. You have specific times, and then you're going to maybe set up for the morning routine. You're going to get your school supplies and your clothing ready so that morning's not so rushed and chaotic. So kids can kind of be on autopilot in the morning, and then they're set up for better success for the day.
Mm-hmm. And is it too late with a lot of kids starting after Labor Day Angie, is it too late to kind of start with that sleep hygiene now, or is it never too
No,
late?
actually, that could start at any time, really. Hopefully a few weeks before school. But, some families' needs are different. Some families' routines have already started, or they might not start until a few days before school starts. It really depends on the family.
Mm-hmm. And when it's so sunny and nice out in northern Michigan and kids don't want to come in from playing outside,
For sure.
I'm sure that's got to be tough. But yeah, definitely needed as classes start here soon for a lot of kids. Was there anything else, Angie, you wanted to cover on that topic?
No, I just really do want to stress that sleep hygiene. It really does make for better days for kids and for parents. Parents are important in that equation too. So.
Mm-hmm. So what can caregivers do when their kid maybe doesn't want to go back to school? Any tips for that?
I think a caregiver exploring why their kid might be rejecting school would be a good thing for a parent to start exploring. Is it because they don't have a routine? They don't know what to expect? Is there something going on at school that makes them nervous, like bullying or not knowing what to expect? Is it that they're not understanding the school subjects that are being presented to them? For some kids who might just be getting started if they're at a new school, or, just the anxiety of a new classroom, a new teacher, new friends possibly. So I think a parent really exploring why they might not be wanting to go to school, asking those really open-ended questions, well, who do you have in your class that like, is it, can the parent go and introduce themselves to the teacher, and asking the kid, depending on age and their needs, what might feel good to them.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, getting to that root cause, that root concern, is so important. Stacy, anything else you want to mention on that before we get to bullying?
No.
And I understand this is a topic that all three of you want to touch on here, but how can caregivers bring up and address bullying?
Scott,
really looking at just having open dialogue with your kiddos is extremely important, and helping them understand that they can come to you when needed.
And I think just exploring that, helping kids understand what bullying even could be, how they might be a bully or how they might be being bullied, and making sure that parents are asking a lot of those questions and kind of watching their kids' behaviors, watching how they interact with their friends and what they say about their friends, what their friends say about them. That can be a really big thing, making sure that our kids feel physically and emotionally safe in school and outside of school, because bullying can happen outside of school too. And that's things that families need to watch for.
Well, and kind of springboarding off that too, and helping kids understand what forms that might come in, whether it's through texting, through cyberbullying, and letting them know that, yes, it doesn't have to be just occurring at school.
Anything, Angie, you wanted to add?
I just wanted to touch on the open dialogue thing. Some kiddos have a little bit of a hard time talking to their parents. So if you could make it a little bit less intimidating to them, sitting in the car where you're not really facing them, or, just having that conversation in a less stressful way. Especially if they are being bullied, they might not want to feel open about that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, with it, bullying happening perhaps in person and online too, I think everybody brings up a good point there. And then Stacy, your cat wants to add something.
Yeah, she really did.
That's what we get with the live broadcast. Yeah, the cat wanted to join in. But we know this is a serious topic. Was there anything else that Stacy, Angie, or Scott wanted to bring up?
I think as we look and helping when we're exploring if a kid is being bullied or doing bullying, just exploring how our kids connect to other students, and helping them feel connected, because sometimes that's where that comes from, is kids they feel like they're not included. They don't feel connected. So they maybe say things or make choices that aren't healthy or safe for themselves or other people, trying to fit in. So exploring those things, finding what does make them happy, what does make them feel fit in, and having those conversations.
And Stacy, speaking of connection, just curious if you guys have any tips for caregivers when it comes to helping their students feel connected with their peers in a healthy way.
Yeah, I think those can be looking sort of like encouraging our kids to join a group or a sport, or if they don't want to join it, maybe taking them so that they can watch or observe that group or sport. Encouraging them to play on the playground, or asking them about what games they like to play on the playground, if they even are playing, and that's for younger kids. For our older kids, definitely maybe getting them involved in a youth group. The library has a lot of youth groups. The Y does youth groups and like teen activities. And then I think parents monitoring their kids spending time with their friends, where are they going? What are they doing? And keeping involved with those kind of things.
Scott, Angie, anything to add?
Like Stacy said, just monitoring for that healthy, nurturing relationship with their peers, and then keeping culture and religion also in mind. You could do church groups or things like that too.
I think it's okay to ask your kids, and a lot of times we would encourage parents to ask their kids, the who, what, where, when, why. Who are you spending time with? Where are you going to be? What are you guys going to be doing? When should I expect you home? How are you getting home?
Mm-hmm.
I think that those are really good questions for parents to be thinking about. And, who else, like what parents are going to be there? What kids are going to be there? And it's not, it's a safety thing, but it's, it's engaging as well. Because our kids want to feel like our parents, like their parents pay attention to them, even though sometimes they reject it.
Yep.
And really, I just want to kind of just emphasize exactly what Stacy said, because it is so important for our kids to know that we want to know what who they're with. We want to know who's going to be there. We want to know something about their parents and such.
Yep.
And then now I'm curious, as we move on to communication with school staff, do you have any tips for caregivers on how to communicate with that group of people?
Yes. So when maybe during orientation, a lot of schools have already had their school orientation. Some are having them this week. Making sure that your parents, that your email and phone number, contact information is up to date with the school. Checking in with the teacher regarding how they communicate. Do they use newsletters, email? Do they use avenues such as Classroom Dojo or other modalities? And also, it's okay to let the teacher know what avenue you prefer to use, whether it's through phone call or texting or such. And with such, utilize the the open houses. It's time to really meet the teacher and making sure that you are aware when crucial dates such as parent-teacher conferences are coming up. And there's a lot of different ways that we can engage with school staff, and even just emailing the teacher, kind of checking in and saying hey, how's Johnny doing today, or how we have some questions regarding his homework and such.
Angie, Stacy, anything to add to that?
No, I mean, yeah, like Scott said, I think just having that open communication with the teacher, making sure that they know who you are, who your kiddo is, and asking them, how is my kid doing in school? Are they engaged? Are they participating? Who do you see them sitting with? I think asking the teacher those kind of questions helps you as a parent take it back home and say, hey, I heard that you've been spending a lot of time with this kiddo lately. Like, what do you guys like to do together? I think the more that parents know, the more engaged they can be.
And go ahead, Angie.
I was just going to say too, it would be probably beneficial for the teachers to know if your child has any trauma history or things like that, what kind of behaviors they might expect to see in the classroom, and what might be helpful to keep those behaviors at bay.
And then moving on from school staff to children, any tips for caregivers on ways to connect and communicate with their children?
It's really important for families to spend time together. And there's so many different activities that a family could look at, but I think what would be like best practice is at least one family activity a week. And that could be something small, like just sitting down and having a meal together inside or outside, depending on the weather, or, like making the meal together, making a dessert together, having like a family movie night or watching a TV show. There's lots of like board games, card games. So something that's free and easy to do at home. Go into the park, taking a walk, riding a bike. Sometimes just sitting down and having a family check-in, a weekly family meeting where everybody sits down and like reviews, what's a good thing that happened this week? What was a tough thing that happened this week? I think encouraging our kids, really shining light on their positives and their strengths and encouraging them. That's a huge way of communicating with kids. Telling them you're proud, telling them that you're thankful for them, asking them please and thank you, just the same respect that we want them to give us. Obviously, as a parent, we have to enforce the rules, but we can do it in a respectful way, and that grows trust and respect with our kids. So I would say like a lot of those would probably be very, very helpful ways, and free and easy ways to communicate and connect with the kids.
And anything from Scott or Angie to wrap things up here?
Again, kind of springboarding on what Stacy had said here. As parents, our attitude is going to impact how our kids see things. And talking about your kids on what some of the, your expectations are, and what are they hoping to gain this school year, and and again, shining a light on their success and continue to kind of be their champions.
Yeah, having those conversations with them, making sure that they're comfortable and competent in the expectations that you and the school would have with them.
I think too, like asking those really open-ended questions, which could look like, what's the best thing that happened to you today? Or what was difficult about your day today? Asking them who they had lunch with or what they had, instead of just, how was your day today? What did you learn? That a lot of times kids are like, I don't know. It was fine, but sometimes asking those open-ended, but a little bit more directed questions, like what, did you answer any questions in class? Did you raise your hand at all? Something like, what was something that made you laugh, or what's something funny today? Depending on their age level, you could ask different questions. Did you feel brave today, or did anything make you feel scared? Because that can kind of open the door. And those are questions that kids don't hear all the time. So it might actually make them think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes, I know a lot of our kids ride the bus. So sometimes it's sitting down and having that conversation with them when they get home. But sometimes that car ride after school can be such a good time to talk to kids. There's not the pressure of the direct eye contact. And so they feel a little bit more free to just say what they want to say. And it can be a really good time to explore all sorts of different things about their day.
Appreciate the advice. You heard it here from the experts. Appreciate it. If people are just tuning in, how do people, either Northern Michigan or if they're watching outside of Northern Michigan, to reach out to get advice, maybe if they have questions, how do they get a hold of you?
I think calling their, like, if it's reaching out to our CMH office, it would just be like calling our local office. If it was, I mean, you can also call your other local CMH offices. There's typically one, either like an actual building in every county, or there's one that shares like two different counties. So just reaching out to their local CMH office could be a good way to start. Or asking their school, you know, like what resources do they have to offer? You know, if you have any concerns that your child is having some struggles in school, just asking the school what kind of resources are available, how to access those too is a good way to go.
Good deal.
National, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Angie. No, you're
I
good.
was going to say nationally, they could just text 988 for a mental health professional.
Good advice. Yeah, I was going to ask too with phone numbers, at least here in Northern Michigan, if you want to share that, or a website, or the best way to get a hold of you.
Well, like I said, Lifeline has that 988 where you can text, or you could chat with them at 988lifeline.org. And that's, like I said, a national crisis line.
Mm-hmm. And at least for the CMH in Northern Michigan, the website, the phone number, if you want to go over that again, please.
Our website is www.nlcmh.org, or they could just call our local office, which
I don't have the number.
We're also available, 24/7 too, through our crisis
Yes.
line.
Mm-hmm.
And that number is 1-833-295-0616.
Scott, do you have the main office line in front of you?
Well, for our Cadillac office, that number is 231-775-3463.
Thanks.
Perfect. Threw that one to you guys. Thanks for you handled it great. No, I just wanted to get that information out for people to reach out if they have any more questions. But I feel like we covered a lot, and I appreciate your time. Before we say bye for now, is there anything else that anybody wanted to mention?
I think just like reiterating, like asking your kiddos questions, you know, and thinking for yourself too, as a parent, you know, if you need to address your own things as your kid is going back to school or your own stressors, CMH has services across the board for adults and children. If you've got questions, ask them. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with getting some help to sort things out or talking to the school to figure out a plan, and reaching out to your support people that are there in person or professional support people.
Good deal. Well, Angie, Stacy, Scott, thanks for your time. And
Thank you.
Yes, maybe we'll see you next month or sometime in the future. Everybody's smiling. That's a good sign. Good. Well, thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And thank you for joining us here on the UpNorthLive YouTube and Facebook pages. And we'll be back next month. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.